Hi everyone, it's Kate from the Department of Health, Kinesiology, and Recreation, and I wanted to use my presentation today to discuss women and financial health, specifically considering those first steps to move into becoming an active participant in our own financial health. So first, I want to discuss women empowerment and just some ideas surrounding maybe how to get our gears turning in the way of motivation to move into engaging with our financial health, and then go into my 6-step tutorial from there. So within women empowerment, I want to discuss change that could occur in both our language and voice and our consideration of social capital. So Layla Hotite, who is the individual in that top left corner, discusses that we as women have lessons to teach regarding success, and she, as a successful Arab businesswoman, shares 3 of her lessons with us. And she uses the phrase "we poor oppressed women" to discuss how Arab women may see themselves in the world, and I think that could translate across a lot of other groups of women as well. But considering shifting that language to become more positive influences in our own process. And then Casey Brown discusses some questions that I think are valuable to highlight again, related to how we can actually prepare ourselves to communicate our value and decrease the pay gap that we're seeing in our population. Some of those questions include things like, what are my clients' needs and how do I meet them? What are my unique skills? What do I do that nobody else does? What value do I add? And I think we could consider that for all realms of women life experience. So family life, work life, whatever it might be. The article shown there discussing empowering the third billion discusses how women are going to play a significant role in the economic future. And I love this quote that it highlights. It says, "Women are the most underutilized economic asset in the world economy." I think that's a pretty powerful thought. So next, I wanted to highlight an idea surrounding social capital. Layla Hotite actually discusses how the typical or the trend is for women to tend to compete against each other for top positions, for financial relevance, whatever it might be. But joining forces is actually going to be a much more powerful way to impact change. And I just think that's a really powerful idea. I wanted to highlight one organization that came to mind. It's called Womenkind. They actually have a presentation on September 27th here in Salt Lake. And they're essentially an organization that comes together to create a support system for individuals that are looking to become participants in the world, in art, business, finance, whatever it might be. So I think there's some kind of suggestion related to our financial health that we could benefit from connecting with other people, and that'll come into my steps that I discuss as well. So moving into my steps, you can see them here. I'm not going to go into each realm specifically, but there are a few that I want to highlight in a little more detail. So first is to create a money autobiography. Tammy Lally actually is the individual that gave this idea to me. She's a money coach, and she discusses how connecting with our money shame and the story that we might give ourselves as we've kind of moved through our life experience related to money might need to be forgiven, and it might need to be something that we encounter before we even start to worry about budget or saving or anything like that. So I thought that was a pretty powerful idea as we start the financial health process. From there, just following your money. AARP suggests that we need to get an idea of what income we have, where our money is going, and essentially just get our records together. This might take time, but the suggestion is that this is going to be a really valuable first step to really understand what our financial circumstances are, as opposed to having them be a little bit more vague. The Jumpstart Coalition actually has a link to what they call a reality check, where you can see kind of where you see yourself in the future and what you would actually need to do to get there. So I thought that was an interesting tool as well. So from there, we move into the third step, which is actually connecting to our resources, specifically people that might help us, organizations that might help us, or online resources. So Mint is one organization that may be useful. It's just an online one-stop shop for our budget, but there are so many others that we could consider as well. From there, just start saving. In the 7 domains of health, the authors actually suggest that it's never too late to start saving for a rainy day, retirement, those sorts of things. And considering that true money security or financial security depends more on what we can do for the future, not just in this present moment. Next, pay off your debt. Dave Ramsey suggests the snowball method, where essentially you see all your debts and start paying off the small ones in larger amounts, and then just hitting the minimums of the other ones, and then move to the next piece of debt from there, eventually becoming debt-free, which is an amazing idea. And then third, this is actually the one that's most important to me, is just to give back. So training the next generation. The New York Times article that we read for class suggests that boys, for example, are being paid to do things like brush their teeth, where girls are maybe being paid to do things like clean the kitchen, that sort of thing. Changing how we're actually creating this idea of adult living for younger children, to actually train them to understand that the gender gap in pay equity should not exist. Considering Dave Ramsey again, he suggests that giving back is a connection to kind of a larger sense of self, more connection to what I see as spiritual health as well. And then Dunn et al. Actually discusses an article, some research that considers pro-social giving as a way to improve our happiness. And they suggest this happens for toddlers all the way to adulthood. And the idea is that this could actually satisfy our basic needs related to the social determination theory, relatedness, competence, and autonomy, and that we need to see that we're making a difference for that to occur. And then I just wanted to give one last honorary mention to getting an education. Everything suggests that that is going to be a very strong step hold in moving to the next stage of financial wellness. So I just wanted to end by saying thank you and showing my references, but I'm happy to discuss anything in more detail from there. Thanks.